When will I have enough money? There is a mathematician inside every human mind, constantly calculating an equation that has no solution. The variables keep changing even as the computation continues. Watch what happens when someone sits down to determine their enough number. If I have this much saved, then I can handle that emergency. If I earn this amount monthly, then I can afford that lifestyle. The pen moves across paper, drawing up budgets that feel logical, sensible, final. But observe what happens 6 months later. What? The same mind that calculated enough now encounters a new variable: a friend's vacation photos, a colleague's promotion, a medical scare, a change in neighborhood. Suddenly, the carefully calculated number reveals itself to be as temporary as yesterday's weather forecast. This is not a failure of mathematics. This is something far more interesting. The mind that asks, "When will I have enough?" is the same mind that will never accept any answer to that question. There is a peculiar mechanism at work here. The human brain, evolved for survival in environments of genuine scarcity, now operates in circumstances its ancient wiring was never designed to comprehend. The neural pathways that once calculated whether there were enough berries to survive winter now calculate whether there is enough in the retirement account to survive old age. But something happens in this translation from primitive survival to modern financial planning. The brain maintains its alert vigilance, its constant scanning for threats, even when the immediate threats to survival have largely disappeared. A woman earns $50,000 and dreams of the security that $60,000 will bring. At $60,000, she discovers that $75,000 is where true peace lies. At $75,000, 6 figures becomes the magical threshold. At 6 figures, the goalposts have moved again, with the consistency of shadows changing throughout the day. This is not unique to her. This is the human condition expressing itself through the medium of money. There is something almost touching about the sincerity with which each person believes they have finally identified their enough number. The conviction is genuine. The calculations are earnest. The spreadsheets are meticulously prepared, yet the number keeps evolving, like a horizon that recedes as we approach it. But what if the question itself contains a hidden assumption? When we ask, "When will I have enough money?" we assume that enough is a mathematical quantity, a specific number that exists somewhere in objective reality, waiting to be discovered through careful analysis and planning. What if enough is not a number at all, but a state of mind? What if it has nothing to do with external accumulation and everything to do with internal relationship? Observe a child playing with toy blocks. They stack them with complete absorption, adding block after block, not because they are trying to reach a predetermined height, but because the act itself provides satisfaction. There is no moment when the child thinks, "Now I have enough blocks." They simply play until their attention naturally moves elsewhere. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, we learn to impose the concept of enough onto experience. We begin to believe that life becomes satisfactory only when we reach certain predetermined benchmarks. The fascinating thing is that people who have accumulated what others consider enough often report the same sense of uncertainty, the same question echoing in their minds. The billionaire worries about market crashes. The millionaire calculates whether their wealth will outlast their longevity. The comfortable retiree wonders if their nest egg is truly sufficient. This suggests that enough may not be a financial problem at all, but a psychological one. There are cultures where the concept of individual enough barely exists. In these societies, surplus naturally flows to where it is needed, like water finding its level. The question is not when will I have enough, but what does the community need? Interestingly, in many of these cultures, anxiety about financial security is notably absent, even when material wealth by global standards is limited. This is not to romanticize poverty or ignore the genuine security that money can provide. But it points to something worth examining, the possibility that our relationship to enough is culturally conditioned rather than biologically determined. What happens when we observe the enough question without immediately trying to answer it? When we watch the mind perform its calculations without getting caught up in the urgency of finding a solution, in that observation, something interesting emerges. The mind reveals its patterns. We can see how it constructs scenarios of future scarcity. We can watch it compare current circumstances to imagined ideals. We can notice how it seeks security in accumulation, yet finds that each level of accumulation brings its own new insecurities. The mind seeking enough is like someone trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. The hole is not in the bucket. It's in the very concept of finding completion through accumulation. But this does not mean financial planning is meaningless or that practical considerations should be ignored. Food, shelter, healthcare, education. These are real needs requiring real resources. The interesting question is whether we can meet these needs without being possessed by the psychological drama of enough. Can we plan for the future while remaining present to what is? Can we save money without saving anxiety along with it? Can we prepare for uncertainties without being dominated by them? Perhaps the answer to when will I have enough is not a number at all, but a quality of attention, not an amount in the bank, but a way of being in relationship with whatever amount is there. In the space between wanting more and having enough, something else becomes possible, a kind of contentment that doesn't depend on external circumstances. A sense of sufficiency that has nothing to do with scarcity or abundance. What is this that needs nothing more than what is already here? This satisfaction that requires no accumulation.